In this video, I look at a selection of images that I produced as part of my self-directed project and discuss how they influenced my approach to photographing people over the course of the unit, as well as some of the things that I learned, but which I did not always apply during subsequent sessions. This and the following two images are from my first session photographing people for context and audience. During this session, I approached several people and asked them if they would write something and hold it up whilst being photographed. But as everyone declined, rather than coming home with no images, I decided just to ask people if I could photograph them and left it at that. I used the images as a test for shooting more formalised portraits, and although I photographed other people during the session, these images show the beginnings of an attempt to photograph people whose appearance made them stand out. Wear brighter colours. This lady definitely practiced what she preached. This photograph and the next one highlighted that I needed to change how I combined images and text. In changing from landscape to portrait and concentrating on the individuals, I had not considered how much more prominent the text became within the frame and how it detracted from the portraits. I thought a large white rectangle with a few words on it became intrusive rather than engaging, and it also underlined the limitation of asking people to think of something on the spot and the tendency to write short, but sometimes unexpected, responses. What drew me to this gentleman was his orange coat. It was only when he agreed to be photographed that I realised that what he was wearing was almost perfect in terms of opposites on the colour wheel. If only he'd worn a blue beanie instead of a black one. For this session, instead of asking people to write something and hold it up, I asked them if they would write it in a notepad, and I would later combine their text and portrait into a single image. I thought his text was interesting, not a few words but two short sentences, which when combined with the image of him almost standing to attention, the tunic style and fabric of his coat having a somewhat military feel, combined with the very formal way he positioned his hands, I thought made for an interesting combination. Although this lady did not send back a postcard, photographing her did teach me about subtle changes in posing I thought I should try and incorporate when taking pictures of other people, but which in practice I failed to do on most occasions. Despite not changing her stance, the way in which she moved her head position subtly alters the feel of the images, most notably when she looked out of frame. This image and the text the gentleman sent back are a perfect example of both elements working in perfect harmony. The imposing stance combined with the red coat signified to the viewer that this man is someone who is very self-confident. When combined with his text about the state of things, which was "everything is awesome here," at least from where I'm standing, the viewer is left wondering whether the thing he is thinking about is the state of the country or something closer to home. I saw this lady in her yellow coat standing in front of a NatWest bank, and I asked her if I could take a photograph, and luckily she agreed. Like the man in the orange coat, this was another instance of fantastic contrasting colours. In my opinion, what makes this image work is not only the contrasting colours, but also her stance, which to me signifies somebody who's on the move. However, what annoys me about this image, and all the other photographs that I took of her, is the framing, and in particular the fact that I have cut off her yellow water bottle. It is a detail I missed at the time, and it does show the need to pay attention to the edge of the frame and not to crop images too tightly in camera. Of all the people I photographed, this man was the most natural in front of the camera, and I wondered if he had previous modelling experience. Unlike most of the people I photographed, in all the images I took of him, he is never square onto the camera. His changes in pose are all natural. During the time I photographed him, he kept making small adjustments to the position of his head, torso and arms, as well as changing his stance from being left leg leading to right leg and back to left. Despite being easy to photograph, unfortunately I didn't receive a postcard back from him, so I did not include any images of him in the display of work I did for my external engagement. However, the way in which he posed and moved did leave an impression on me, and I tried to think more about asking people to vary their stance when subsequently photographing other people. These images are of someone who stood out from the crowd, but who I did not hear back from. When photographing this man, I remembered to ask him to alter his pose. However, in the image where he has his right shoulder to the camera, I did not like his facial expression. So although I preferred his pose, for the display of my work, I went with the first image where he is square onto the camera, but where his expression is more neutral. I think the two main learnings I'll take from the photographs I took for this unit are, first, to encourage people to try posing slightly differently by moving their feet, body and head. These do not have to be significant movements. Even subtle changes can make a visible difference. The other learning is to try and look at the whole frame to see if there are elements which are being cut off or which are too close to the edge of the image for comfort. Overall, I've learned a lot about photographing people in this unit. Going forward, the challenge is to remember all the things I've observed when trying to work quickly with people I don't know.